Well, I had a request in the comments the other day to bring back the Red Sox hat, and I'm happy to oblige. I used to wear this hat all the time in videos. I don't really know why I stopped. I started cycling through hats. I was wearing my Make Orwell Fiction hat again for a while. I have like a pile of hats like this. I have a lot of hats. I'm a hat person. I've always been a hat person, but I thought that this was possibly one of the most important stories that I could wear my Red Sox hat for, and it's not, because Elon Musk yesterday got in a Twitter fight with Elizabeth Warren. But if you didn't see this Twitter fight, it was actually effing amazing. These are the reasons that I stay on Twitter. This is what makes that hellscape cesspool of a website so worthwhile. Elon Musk and Elizabeth Warren got in a fight over taxes on Twitter. Elizabeth Warren said, let's change this rigged tax code so this person of the year will actually pay taxes and stop freeloading off of everyone else, which is a little ironic since even CNN is reporting that Elon Musk will pay at least $7.6 billion in taxes this year. More than like any other American in like history. And it could actually go as high as $10 billion. You think your tax bill is high? Elon Musk's tax bill is even higher. And so he responded, stop projecting. You remind me of when I was a kid and my friend's angry mom would just randomly yell at everyone for no reason. And then he topped it off with, please don't call the manager on me, Senator Karen. It's the best thing that's ever happened. It is. But that's not what I want to talk about. That's just a little, that's a sideshow. What I really want to talk about is Elizabeth Warren writing an op-ed in the Boston Globe about court packing. That's what I want to talk about. Because I promise you, court packing is going to come back. It is especially going to come back if Roe v. Wade gets repealed. Now, I know that this is not a conversation that many of you like to have. I know this because this is actually how the whole thing started on Twitter when I ended up in Newsweek for tweeting something that they took out of context and all that. This is actually how this whole conversation started. Because the Supreme Court took up Roe v. Wade last week, 2 weeks ago, whenever they did it. They're going to be delivering a decision next year. As early as I understand it, please correct me if I'm wrong, but as early as April, maybe as late as June. But regardless of whether it's April, May, or June, or any other day before the midterms next year, the Supreme Court decision on Roe v. Wade will come out months before the midterms, not years before the midterms, not something that can just be glossed over, months before the midterms. Now, of course, conservatives are celebrating this. They're saying, oh my God, we get to repeal Roe v. Wade, states' rights. States' rights? They don't really believe in states' rights, by the way. They only believe in states' rights for issues that that are their pet issues. Everything else they want federalized. It's a different topic for another day. But they're really excited about this. Like, yes, we finally get to repeal Roe v. Wade, and it's looking pretty good. It's looking like it could actually go in that direction. And a logical person might say, well, that doesn't make abortion illegal. They do it with their pinky. That doesn't make abortion illegal. It just sends it back to the states to regulate, and we will be able to have a calm and civilized conversation about returning to states' rights and the Constitution. That's not what's going to happen. That is not in any way, shape, or form what is going to happen. What is going to happen if Roe v. Wade gets repealed is it will activate every single person on the left to the most ridiculous extent that you have ever seen them activated before in your lives. You think 2020 was bad? You think it was bad when All they cared about was getting Donald Trump out of office, and they literally weaponized a public health crisis in order to do it. And then they spent all summer rioting and looting and having mostly peaceful protests. You think that was bad? That is nothing compared to what you will see if one of the left's flagship issues ends up getting repealed by the Supreme Court. You have not seen anything like the type of activation I am talking about. For those of you who are 2A people, think about how much you care about the Second Amendment. That is how much the left cares about abortion. And what you're going to say, because I know all your arguments at this point, what you're going to say is, well, Carl, that is the Second Amendment, that is in the Bill of Rights. It is different than abortion. Abortion isn't in the Constitution. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We are not talking about legality. We are talking about what the extent that the left will go to destroy this country based on the right taking the bait. Because this was bait. I'm sorry. This was bait. And the left knew the right would take it, and they knew if they did, the decision would come out months before the midterm elections, and it is like the only shot they have of actually winning the midterms. You guys understand this? Weaponizing this issue is the only shot they have of winning the midterms, and they will do it, and they will do it with absolutely everything they have. And then you're going to say, oh, it's about saving babies. It is not about elections or popularity contests. The left can riot. They rioted all last summer. It's not about that. You will lose every single close election for the rest of your lifetime if Roe v. Wade gets repealed. You will lose every single person that defected from the left to vote for you in 2020 and in 2021 if Roe v. Wade gets repealed. Every single issue that you have pales in comparison to the importance of this issue on the left. I was on the left for 20 years, man. I was a woman on the left for 20 years. I know exactly what is going to happen on this issue. They will weaponize it in every possible way they can. And if you think for 1 second the Supreme Court repealing it is going to be the ultimate victory, watch what happens when the Democrats control everything ad nauseum for years after this. There ain't nothing we can do about this court case now. It's done. The right took the bait. The conservatives took the bait. It is out of our hands. It is in the hands of the Supreme Court. And you guys all better be praying they don't repeal this, because if they repeal this, dude, if you think that you saved the unborn, do you think that when the left controls everything, because you will never win another close election again because of how much they're going to weaponize this issue? Do you really think they won't find a way around it? This is so unnecessary. It's so unnecessary. And I could keep going on and on and on and on and on and on and on about my thoughts about this issue. But I want to talk about one of the other consequences that will come up if Roe v. Wade gets repealed. They're going to start talking about packing the court again. This was always the number one issue that I was worried about in terms of Joe Biden winning the presidency, was if the Democrats controlled everything, they were going to pack the Supreme Court. If they pack the Supreme Court, that is game over. That is the end of the ball game. That is the end of the country, folks. Because if they pack the Supreme Court, the next time the Republicans are in power, which could be a good damn long time at the way things are going, the Republicans pack the court, and then the Democrats get power back again, the Democrats pack the court, and then all of a sudden we have like 587 people on the Supreme Court, and it doesn't mean anything. We have lost one of the primary checks and balances that exists in our system because of politics. And today, Elizabeth Warren posted an op-ed in the Boston Globe, which tells you that this is going to come back. And guess when it's going to come back if Roe v. Wade gets repealed? It's going to come back before the midterm elections, when the Democrats still control Congress and they still control the White House. So even if there is a massive red wave in November, even if that happens, this would happen before that. Let's read. Senator Karen writes, I didn't come to this conclusion lightly or because I disagreed with a particular decision. I came to this conclusion because I believe the current court threatens the democratic foundations of our nation. This month, a majority of justices of the United States Supreme Court signaled their willingness to gut one of the court's most important decisions over the past century, threatening to eliminate Roe v. Wade and a person's right to choose. What did I tell you? What did I tell you they were going to do? This is not about my personal opinion on abortion. A lot of you think that I only believe this because I happen to be pro-choice. No, I believe this because I don't want the left to win. I believe this because I was on the left for 20 effing years. I know how they work. I know how they work. I am trying desperately to teach you how they work. And instead of listening and learning, what I'm getting is babies, 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 babies. You just want to murder babies, Carl. And that's it. You just want to murder babies. You just want to murder babies. That's what I get every day. Every single time I bring this damn issue up. You ain't saving unborn babies with this strategy. You're not. You're not playing the... I got a comment the other day that said, Carlin, you tell us all the time to play like the left, and then we play like the left, and you tell us we're wrong. You're not playing like the left with this strategy. The left has, over the course of decades, made small moves that added up to them controlling every major institution in this country. Fighting on this issue is not making a small move. It is making a massive strategic error because even if you win, you still lose. The left doesn't make decisions like that. Only the right makes decisions like that, and that is why the left and not the right currently controls every major institution in this country. And I am trying desperately to teach you guys this. It's a little frustrating when I feel like no one is listening. I'm an organizational psychologist, man. I know how systems work. I know how people operate within systems. I can identify this stuff. I'm trying to give you the keys to the flipping kingdom. And I'm sure I'll have a comment of people, you're just not the person I thought you were. I'm unsubscribing. All right, unsubscribe. Stick your head in the sand. Pretend you don't hear. But you're going to get exactly what you experience will be the result of your contributions. If you refuse to listen to people who have been on this side before, who knows how this side thinks, who knows how this side operates, if you refuse to listen to us when we try to help you, then you will get precisely what you have earned through your actions. I live in New Hampshire, man. We're going to secede at some point anyway. It's not going to impact me. Florida, going to impact you, though. Anywho, let's go back. This is not the first time this extremist court has threatened or outright dismantled fundamental rights in this country. For years, the Supreme Court conservative majority, recently supercharged to 6-3, has issued decision after decision that veers away from the most basic principles of law and widely held public opinion. With each move, the court shows it's too important to restore America's faith in an independent judiciary committed to the rule of law. To do that, I believe it's time for Congress to yet again use its constitutional authority to expand the number of justices on the Supreme Court. I don't come to this conclusion lightly, or because I disagree with a particular decision. I came to this conclusion because I believe the current court threatens the democratic foundations of our nation. If Roe v. Wade gets repealed, every single Democrat in Congress is going to be beating this drum. And they control Congress. They control Congress. Y'all better pray that Joe Manchin holds strong, because Joe Manchin is the only person who would stand in the way of this. That's it. That's all she wrote. And remember, this would happen before the midterms in 2022. Do you guys see do you see the chess pieces now? Do you see the chess pieces and how the Democrats are moving them around the board? They set the Republicans up and the Republicans took the damn bait. For years, I have argued for reforms to the ethical practices of the Supreme Court. Justices should not be allowed to receive big paychecks or all expenses paid trips from extremist right wing legal groups or go on expensive hunting trips with litigants who appear before the court. But the problem with today's court runs deeper than ethical abuses. Over the past few years, Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell hijacked America's Supreme Court. First in 2016, he engineered the theft of one seat, breaking from longstanding precedent by denying even a hearing to President Obama's highly qualified nominee. 4 years later, he reached new heights of hypocrisy when he reversed direction, breaking his own rule, borrowing votes on justices in an election year to ram through the confirmation of Amy Coney Barrett only days before President Biden's election. I'm sorry, man. I'm glad Merrick Garland's not on the court, but Elizabeth Warren is 100% right. The Republicans look like hypocrites. It is impossible to paint this with anything other than hypocrisy. You did one thing when it was convenient, you did another thing when it was not convenient. That's hypocrisy. Principles only matter if you stand by them when they are inconvenient. So which is your principle here? And you can make all these it was a Republican controlled Congress. Merrick Garland wasn't going to get confirmed. Fine. If he wasn't going to get confirmed, then why didn't you give him a hearing? If everyone was going to vote no, then why didn't you give him a hearing? Why didn't you follow the process that would have inevitably ended in a no vote anyway? Why didn't you do it for the good of the American people so that you didn't run into this issue 4 years later? This is what happens when you play games. The left doesn't make these mistakes. Or when they do make these mistakes, because I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't say that the left doesn't make these mistakes. When they do make the mistakes, they have the media to cover for them. The right does not have the media to cover for them. You don't have that luxury. You haven't earned it because you haven't taken over every major institution in this country. Two different scenarios, man. Life is unfair. You play by different rules when you are in different circumstances. That is just the way it is. The current reality is a result of the fact that the right does not play strategically ever. The left does. That's why the left wins. That's why the left owns the institutions. That's why the left gets to play by easier rules because they did the hard work up front to overtake the institutions. If the right had done the hard work up front to overtake the institutions, they would be able to play by different rules, but they didn't. They didn't. And here we are. The Republican court packing has, of course, they call it court packing. It's not court packing. What the Republicans did with Amy Coney Barrett was they followed the process they damn well should have followed with Merrick Garland, even if Garland resulted in a no vote. That's not court packing. It's not court packing to follow the process. This Republican court packing has undermined the legitimacy of every action the current court takes, but rather than trying to restore Americans' confidence in an independent judiciary, the court leans into extremism and partisanship. This radical court has reversed centuries-old campaign finance restrictions, opening the floodgate for corporations to spend unlimited sums of money to buy our elections. It was reversed well-settled law that once employees permit union organizers to meet with workers. It trampled on the Constitution's guarantee, blah, 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 all sorts of other stuff that Senator Karen doesn't like. Without reform, the court's 6-3 conservative supermajority will continue to threaten our basic liberties for decades to come. In this term alone, the Supreme Court is considering whether to nullify the right to an abortion in America, whether to bar states and cities from regulating guns on our streets, and whether to eviscerate the federal government's ability to fight climate change. The fact that the Supreme Court is even considering questions to upend decades of settled law jeopardizes the fundamental principle of law. A rule of law, but conservative justices' recent decisions and their apparent appetite to overthrow decades of precedent underscores one truth. This court's lawlessness is a powerful threat to democracy in our country. Now, of course, that's not effing true. Of course, that's not true. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what's true, guys. It does not matter what is true. It only matters how you're playing the game. That's all that matters in this. Whether or not you're taking the right steps to overtake the institutions in this country and kick the left out, that is the only thing that matters in the discussion that we're having right now. A calm, rational discussion about states' rights is never going to happen. It is not going to happen. Like, put that dream aside. That's like living in the land of unicorns and fairy tales and Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny. That's how much of a fantasy that is with our current reality. Life is not fair. If you are not willing to deal with reality as it is, then you are no different than the unhinged left. We have to be plugged into reality, not some idealized sense of fairness and justice. Because while fairness and justice does still exist in the world, and the Kyle Rittenhouse case is absolutely an example of that, that doesn't mean that life is completely fair. That's the way it is. And so if we aren't going to acknowledge the reality that we're dealing with, we have no hope of ever winning. I believe in an independent judiciary. I also believe in a judiciary that upholds the rule of law, not one that ignores it to promote a deeply unpopular and partisan agenda at odds with the Constitution and the settled rights of our citizens. And when a court consistently shows that it no longer is bound by the rule of law, Congress must exercise its constitutional authority to fix that court. This is the first shot on this issue. This is the first one. Ain't going to be the last. Article 3, Section 1 of the Constitution gives Congress the authority to change the size of the Supreme Court. Congress has used this authority 7 times before. To restore balance and integrity to a broken institution, Congress must expand the court by 4 or more seats. Isn't it convenient? Isn't it convenient that they want the court expanded by exactly the number of seats that would give them the majority? And then the next time the Republicans control everything, which would be a long ass time, but it would happen eventually, the Republicans would add to the court. And then back to the Democrats adding to the court, and then back to the Republicans adding to the court. And every single time they're adding just enough to overtake the majority, whatever that majority might be. And thus the Supreme Court is rendered meaningless and useless in this country, and we are deadlocked forever. Now, I know a lot of you want a peaceful national divorce. Who do you think is going to win when the left controls the military? I do not believe a peaceful divorce would be as peaceful as some of you seem to think it would be. And believe me, listen, man, I know I'm advocating for secession in New Hampshire, and I absolutely do believe that's the right thing to do. And I know that that probably wouldn't be as peaceful as we would like it to be either. I'm acknowledging that. But I do not think that people who are advocating for the peaceful national divorce are really understanding that they are not in the power position to keep it peaceful. You might own the guns. The left currently controls the military. Some oppose the idea of court expansion. They have argued the expansion is court packing, that it would start a never-ending cycle of adding justices to the bench, and that it would undermine the court's integrity. That's exactly what would happen. They're wrong. And their concerns do not reflect the gravity of Republicans hijacking the Supreme Court. Elizabeth Warren is just making shit up. First, it was McConnell, along with Donald Trump, who used 2 stolen seats to pack the court. The same number of people who reduced the size of the court over a year solely for their own partisan gain, and then it turned around and jammed through another nominee days before losing the presidency, cannot complain about a clearly constitutional proposal to fix the mess they made. Second, adding seats to the Supreme Court may be one of the few ways to de-escalate the arms race around the court. If we all stand by while the highest court in our land bows to special interests and destroys the long-acknowledged rights of individuals, we reward those who broke the rules in the first place, encouraging bad actors to further corrupt the court without any consequences. Finally, between its ethical failings, its stolen seats, and its radical right-wing opinions on abortion, voting, dark money, unions, corporate power, and more, this Supreme Court has hit record lows in the eyes of the public. I mean, Congress has hit record lows in the eyes of the public, Liz, too, if we're being honest about it. Rebalancing the court is a necessary step to restore its credibility as an independent institution, one that works for the American people and not just the wealthy and powerful. Engraved on the entrance of the Supreme Court is a simple phrase: equal justice under the law. Americans deserve a court committed to that fundamental idea, one that values the settled constitutional rights of every American, one that protects democracy instead of undermining it, one that gives working parents and millionaire executives the same fair shake. This extremist court has shown that it is not interested in advancing the equal administration of justice. It's time to rebalance the Supreme Court and create one that is. This is the first shot, guys. It's the first shot. It's not the last. Now, I'm well aware that many of you don't like the things I told you in this video. You're going to complain in the comments. You're going to unsubscribe in protest. But I am not going to lie to you just to keep your subscription. And if that's what you're looking for, you came to the wrong channel in the first place. I believe in finding the truth, and I believe in dealing in reality and looking at things as they are, not as I want them to be, not as I fantasize them to be. And this is one of those instances where the right has made a massive, massive misstep that will cost all of us. If they win, it will cost all of us. If they lose, it's still probably going to cost all of us, because people like Elizabeth Warren will use it to say, oh, look what the right tried to do. We need to stop them next time. You have to play smart. Start playing smart. Don't take the bait, man. Don't take the bait. So we'll see how it goes. Fingers crossed. But listen, if you're still sticking around, if you like being told the truth rather than me whispering sweet nothings in your ear like so many commentators do, they just regurgitate talking points over and over and over again because they know that that's what will keep their subscriptions up. If you're looking for something a little different, I invite you to subscribe to my channel. I post content around news, politics, culture almost every single day of the week. I do take Saturdays off, but you'll find content from me pretty much every other day other than Saturdays. So if it doesn't show up in your YouTube, you can come right back. There's probably something new. I also want to invite you to join my Locals community. Locals is the best place on the internet. It is free to join. You can join at kb.locals.com. Where is it? Bing! You can join there. Or if you want to support the work I'm doing, you can head over to kb.locals.com/support. I'll make this a little bit bigger. Support comes in at a $5 a month subscription. You can give more if you want to, but you don't have to. You can do $50 a year, which gives you 2 months for free. You can make a one-time gift. And what that'll do is that will not only get you into my Locals community, but it will get you all the extra perks. Like we do Zoom calls a couple times a week. We're going to be doing a lot more Zoom calls in 2022. We do a book club together. We do craft and bitches. We do all sorts of stuff together as a community that you're going to be able to get access to when you sign up as a supporter to support the work I do. I hope I'll see you there, guys. Take care. We'll see you soon.